Good morning, everybody. All right,
So,
so
for
we
those of you that are new, welcome to MLS Monday. My name is Joanna, and I am your MLS director here. We hold these classes every single Monday, going through different tools, different things inside the MLS to help you better understand the tools that are already readily available to you, or better ways to enhance your business, make your life a little easier, make you a little techier, but overall make you more successful. This week, what we are doing is part two of the prospecting. It's a continuation from last week, but that's okay. If you weren't with us last week, you don't need any of the information from last week to continue into this week. What we did cover last week is we went through Remine and Realist, which are two of our prospecting tools. We went through how to use those, the different filters. And if you need that, again, you can go back and view that one on YouTube. What we're going to go through this week is RPR and Real Reports. Now, I did make the joke last week. I'll make it this week again. All of our data mining tools, whether you're doing CMAs or prospecting or trying to find more information on a property that you might be doing a deal with, it cracks me up because they all start with R. So they make it as confusing as possible. You have Remine, Realist, RPR, and Real Reports. People will call in all the time and say, "Hey, what's that tool? It starts with an R," and we're like, "All of them, right? All of them." The tools that we went through last week, though, Remind and Realist, the main things to take away from that are depending on what it is that you're trying to accomplish when you're prospecting and farming, trying to gain clientele, is what type of clientele is it that you're looking to go after and what goals are you trying to accomplish? Sit down and have that conversation with yourself. What's your budget? What are you trying to do? What type of marketing are you trying to do? And that'll be important in choosing what type of tool you're going to use, right? Because you might be asking yourself, well, why do you guys have so many tools if they all do the same thing? They don't. Do they all do prospecting? Do they all do data mining? Yes. But they really accomplish different types of things. So last week, what we did is we went through Remine. Remine is very behavioral driven. It's based around the consumer. It's, what is their sellability score? When's the last time that they bought the home? Are they likely to sell again because they bought it 10 years ago? What's their equity like? It's very based on that consumer. If you go into Realist as a data mining tool instead, it is very based on stats, statistics, facts, like property data, things like that, right? Like your property parameters is what I like to call it. Depending on what type of data and what type of filtering you're trying to do will depend on which product you use. But it also comes down to, it looks like we've got a good amount of people logging in still. It also comes down to like what one you like using the most. So you're going to get different data out of each, right? We talked about last week how like Remine has a really, really cool sellability score where it just figures it out for you who's likely to sell. I don't have to think it through. I don't have to do any of that. Um, and they've got like really cool like behavior type filters. But then if you go into Realist, you can filter by people who have like a out of country address, right? So we talked to the people who maybe you work with like German investors or you're from Brazil and you want to work with people from Brazil. You can filter by what country they're from. We've got a lot of people. We've got an award this past week for our global initiatives here at Royal Palm Coast Realtor Association. So if you focus on something like that, you can do that. Maybe you focus on distressed properties, those types of filters, foreclosures, things like that. Those are the things that you want to look at when you're deciding what tool to use, aside from the one, that works the best for you. Some of these are very simplistic in their filters. Some of them are very, very detailed. And, if you're the detail-oriented person, that's great. But if you're not and you're overwhelmed by that, you're going to want to go with the simplistic tool. So that's why we have so many different ones of those. So today we're going to start with RPR, and I'm going to go ahead and share my screen now that we've got a good amount of people logged in here. Get that shared, and you should be able to see that now. All right, so here on the dashboard, all of your beautiful tools, and again, all the ones that start with R, we're going to go ahead and hop into RPR. Last week we did Realist and Remine. So I save RPR for the second one, and it does take up most of the class. The last weeks we did half of the time in Remine, half the time in Realist, but this tool is very, very detailed. It has a lot of stuff in it. There's so much you can do that it takes up the bulk of the class, which is why we split this class into part one and part two. So when you come into RPR, which by the way is a national tool provided to you by NAR, So while it is focused in on our local area, when you look at this right away and it's got our logo up at the top, there's a lot that you can do in here nationally. So if you wanted to start searching other areas, you could certainly do that as well. I loved doing prospecting and farming. My family's from Boston, and the other part of my family's from New Hampshire, and I loved to go after those people when my family told me they were getting hit by a snowstorm over the weekend. I would hit social media and do targeted ads to a specific neighborhood that was really getting hit by a snowstorm. And then I would, over that weekend, pull up a prospecting list and do prospecting and farming out to that neighborhood with like postcards, maybe letters, things like that, so that they would see me on socials while they were bundled up and stuck inside their homes. And then after the snow cleared and they started getting mail again, there I was in their mailbox, right? Really cool opportunity to be able to search nationally. So as you come out to this tool, though, you'll notice also what's great about this is there's a residential component, which is what it automatically goes to, but there is also a commercial component. So for those of you who enjoy commercial, partake in commercial, you've got these options available to you too. I know that a lot of people feel like commercial is like forgotten and left behind. It's, doesn't get as much attention, but we do have a good amount of tools that connect into the commercial realm. When I practiced, I always said I was allergic to commercial, but if that's for you, you've got that right here. And we'll kind of go through that as well so you can see what those filters look like. So in here, where we're going to start with is this map search down here, but I do want to point out that right away you've got to search. So if you needed to like search a specific property to pull up data, if you wanted to search a specific neighborhood and start this way, you could use these filters up here essentially. And then if you don't learn anything from me today, or you haven't learned anything from me in the past, you can use these guided tour buttons. What they do is when you click it, it'll walk you through each button to click. It's not just a video, it actually walks you through it. It'll highlight what buttons you need to click, whether you're doing a property search, prospecting, which is what we're going over today, market trends, map searches, CMAs, reports, or how to use the app. These are really cool. But I will tell you, a lot of us make the mistake of not realizing it says guided tour. And we're like, yep, I want to prospect. And we just click this and it starts taking you through all those steps. So just giving you an idea of what all of those buttons do here on RPR. So let's go ahead and go into the map search and build out our prospecting farm that we would like to go after. You can see I was playing around here earlier. So let's kind of hop over. We'll do 33901, pick on the Cape Coral area again. So as we start to type out, you can put in here cities, you can put zip codes, you can put in specific neighborhoods. I know I pick on Pelican Preserve a lot. And you can see in here that it'll start to pull out those different neighborhoods. So whichever way you like to search by, right? Maybe you live in that neighborhood and you want to be the expert in that neighborhood. We can go ahead and pick on downtown Fort Myers area as well. As soon as you type in that boundary, it's going to set up those parameters for you. So we're going to go through how to use the drawing tools and things like that if you need to narrow it down. But right away, what you want to start with is that location, take you to that place, whether it be a city, a neighborhood, or a zip code. Now we can zoom in and out as needed here, but you'll see that right away we have all of these dots. But you do want to come up here and go through these filters one at a time before you start drawing things out and saving any of your searches. Now, RPR, like the tools that we went over last week, it is connected into our MLS as well as the Lee County Property Appraiser. Now, they connect into the property appraisers around the nation specifically, but what we're looking at right now, it's in Lee County, is the Lee County Property Appraiser. So it does give us information based on activity in the MLS right now. However, when you're building a farm, right, you're more so going to want to go after public records. You're not looking for things that are currently active, under contract, or pending. A lot of people use this search also to start building out their CMAs. So if you're wondering, like, why the heck is that information there? That's why. This tool is used for so much research. It's not always just about prospecting, even though that's what we focus in on today. So we're going to go ahead. Right now, we're looking at the MLS data, and you can tell that because that's what's listed here on this left side, anything that's for sale or for lease. We're going to go ahead and go to public records. Now, if you wanted to filter out when it was sold, like maybe you want things that are sold within a certain parameter, like anything that's been sold like more than 2 years ago, you can enter those dates in. For right now, we're just going to keep it simple with public record. Now you have property type here. This is pretty simple, right? Single family homes, condos, townhomes. You can have all of them selected. But this is here because if there is a specific type of property that you want to go after, then you can filter that out. I know I hear a lot of people say, hey, I'm the condo queen and I work condos all day. Well, go ahead and just pull up the condos. But then, there's a lot of people that don't like dealing with the condos, the HOAs, the rules, the regs, and they just want to stick it out with single family. That's perfectly fine. I know when my mom first got in the business, she did a lot of the manufactured homes, and it's definitely at the time was a part of the market that like nobody messed with because they have the whole set of rules for inspection and do you own the land, do you not own the land, right? Because you have to own the land in order for it to be on the MLS considered real estate. You need that PID instead of a VIN. And so she cornered that part of the market and went after the manufactured homes and used RPR to do that regularly. To each their own, everybody's got a different thing. Maybe you're the lot and land queen or the farm guy, the pool guy, the water guy, whatever it is that you're going after, make sure you have that set when you're out here filtering. So we're going to go ahead and we're just going to go after single families. So price, this is if it were actively listed at the moment, we don't need to use that filter here. If you wanted to plug in bedrooms and bathrooms, you certainly could, but all of the good meat and potatoes is over here in this button that says more filters. So we're going to go ahead and drop this down. This is going to pull in the stuff that we already looked up here with the quick buttons as well. You can see here again, we're looking at, do we want it to be on the market or go for public record? We already chose single family, bedrooms, bathrooms. If you needed to go after, you're looking at specific living area, lot sizes, units, anything like that, you could certainly type that in. This is a filter also for the distressed statuses. So we talked about this last week a lot as well. If you would like to exclude these, you could. Or if you wanted to go after things specifically that were in a foreclosure status, you've got that option here. So for my people who love going after distressed properties and working with auction properties, short sale properties, if that's your forte, then you've got those filters here to specifically go after that. And what's great that we don't see in the other tools is you can do distress dates. So if you're like, yep, I want to go after the short sales, but you don't want something that's been in short sale for a while because you're like, they've probably already like been picked over or bothered a lot. You want the things that are newly distressed, then you can filter those dates out here. If you were searching stuff that was currently on the market, you can search the open houses in here, but we don't need that for the prospecting section. Standard lot use. This is really, really great data. If you're going after a lot and land and you're going after a specific niche type of classification of property, they have everything in here that you could possibly need. Really, really cool. So if you're getting very specific with your marketing, with your postcards or your flyers, whatever it is that you're sending out to them and going after specific land uses, then you can filter that out here. Organization, we have multiple MLSs, right? Nationwide, all of the MLSs are in here. So it's automatically going to search by all of us if you're pulling MLS data. But if you needed to search by a certain MLS, then you could. I know somebody that would filter out by people who had stuff listed in other MLSs in other states. They knew that they were going to sell and they would try to convince them to move down to Florida, right? Because they're under contract for a listing with another agent, but you also could like reach out to that agent and try to work a referral as well. That was a very specific niche type of marketing that was interesting. All right, so occupancy type, is it owner occupied or is it an absentee owner? If you needed to search by when it was built or the time that the ownership has been there, right? They say a lot of people on average move every 5 years. So you could highlight just the people who have moved or have been there for longer than 5 years if you wanted to. The owner occupied or absentee owner is great. We talked about this last week. If you're going after people who possibly it's like their second home or their income property, then you can go after them. Or a lot of times people will go after absentee owner because they assume there are tenants in there and they will try to get, convert tenants into owners to purchase property. But then if you want to be very specific about people who like live in their home and it's going to go specifically to that address, you can click owner occupied as well. I think it's really great, if you sit down with yourself and have a conversation with yourself. Nobody will judge if you talk to yourself. It's okay. You're going to sit down and talk with yourself about what it is that you're going after, what the perfect client is for you, what, corner of the market do you want to make yours? It's about what makes you happy. It's about what you're good at, right? And figuring out what that is, what you're comfortable with. If a lot of us, when we get into the business, if you're brand new, you just kind of like throw this big net and you're like, whatever I can get, whatever I can take. But the more specific you are in building your farm, the more targeted you can be with your marketing, the further your dollars are going to go. Because if you just walk into a neighborhood and send every person in the neighborhood a postcard, you're going to spend a lot of money on postage. And half of those people could already have their property listed. Half of them, might not be ready to sell because they just bought the house. The tools that we went over last week, if you wanted to use the sellability scores, those are going to help narrow it down so that you can be very specific in your marketing. But also, let's say you just throw it out to the whole neighborhood and you know nothing about condos. Half the neighborhood is condos. And next thing you know, all these people are calling you and you can't, you don't feel comfortable working with them. It's another waste of your marketing dollars. So decide what it is that you're going to work with. If you want to be very specific, we've got people who are like, hey, like I'm a golf frontage person, or hey, like I'm the pool expert, and you're worried that that's too niche of a market. Well, if you select pools and you widen your parameters or your neighborhoods that you search, you have to figure out again, we touched on this last week, but how many people do you want to go after, right? What's your budget and what's your intentions? Are you going to just do postcards? Are you going to do postcards twice a month? Are you going to do out mailers? And then it's not just about physical mail anymore, right? That's what these tools are for. But you pair this with, let's say we go after this downtown area. We'll click update so that it pulls this all in. But let's say you really are going after this downtown area and you decide like, hey, I'm comfortable with sending out X amount of postcards. But then I'm also going to put in that budget, I'm going to do social media marketing specifically to this area. And then I'm going to go downtown and I'm going to work the farmers market that they have every Saturday. And I'm going to partake in the events they have downtown. They're seeing me in person. They're seeing me on their social medias. They are also then seeing me in all of their mailboxes, right? There's intention with all of that. The tools that we have here are providing a lot of data to you for the specific addresses and physical properties that you can go after based on those characteristics of the property and based on the behaviors of who is in that home. Everything from there, though, else from there is going to be based on the parameters that you can find inside of the social media platforms or inside of doing research around the neighborhood and what's going on. We talked about last week, we picked on the yacht club area over here. The same thing, right? We talked about going door to door specifically, who was very likely to sell and supporting the different neighborhood initiatives and things that were happening over there. So a lot of those concepts can be applied to anything. And again, if you're going after a niche clientele like the foreclosures or the short sale properties, then you're going to alter what you're doing a little bit, right? You might open it up to all of Cape Coral and all of the foreclosures. You're not going to go after a specific small area. And then the type of marketing that you do may not just be in the neighborhood, but it may be in those different businesses that work with people who are going through foreclosures and making those types of business partners. So it's all about combining the different tactics. You're not just using these map tools and pulling in addresses. You're also trying to be anywhere where that consumer might be, putting their hat on, putting their thinking cap on, and okay, if I'm that consumer, where am I going to find me? So you can see here, I didn't put too many filters on. We're down to this area. We still have, right now it's showing 500 out of the 3,117. So 500 have that filter. Overall, there was 3,117 in this square. So we can continue to dwindle this down if we wanted to. We can keep it the way it is. But I am going to show you guys, there's a lot of different things that you can do here with the map on the side to help you build out your prospecting area. So this is going to go ahead and open it up to full screen instead of just being inside of the browser if you needed a deeper look at that map. The map view, we've got the road map, but you can do aerial, satellite, terrain, which isn't as important here. I know up north they use this and they kind of cut around the mountains and things like that. The draw tool is very important, especially for those of you who are, doing a broader area, but you want to work a specific neighborhood, like Cape Coral. I know we draw around our Cape Coral maps all the time because they don't have a specific subdivision code. So we'll draw this cute little shape. Now, this is what's cool is we can create a report just on that little area. And you can see that we had pulled the whole zip code, but now we can edit this and say, hey, I just want to search this area. So clicking that is going to bring me down even further. You can see all of these properties here. Zoom out a little bit. But we've gone ahead and narrowed it down even further to the 790 properties are inside of that filter. If you wanted to, you could do a circle, you could do a square. You know, we did the polygon. You can also freehand it if you wanted to. You've got the different driving filters around here, so you can plug in some addresses and see travel time, distance, and traffic counts, points of interest. So if you wanted to look in that area at different things, community centers, parks, libraries, a lot of this is more interesting if you're helping out like a buyer or trying to sell the place, but it's cool things to look at as you continue to build your farm, grow your farm, and enhance like your prospecting area based on the different behaviors you've seen. Points of interest can be really, really cool. You can add in the schools to the map if you wanted to go around certain schools. Data layers, you can add in the flood zones, and then you could draw a map around, you know, if you don't want to have anything to do with those flood zones, you could certainly do that. But then also they will add in like heat maps for the median sold price, list price, things like that. But just different things like, you know, maybe you're not so sure exactly where you wanted to put your parameters. You could add in these different data layers based on what it is that you're looking for. So once you've gone through here and you've added in all of your filters, you have exactly what you want. You can come over here and they make it really simple on getting any of this data. So right now we're in the map view. You can also do the tile view of each property, and then you could do the single line thumbnail view as well, right? So selecting all of these, you could also then go ahead and save them or just easily use your buttons up here at the top. So we've got mailing labels. And this is very similar to what we went through last week. So you can get the PDF of them where they're ready to print, like they're just ready to go based on which Avery stack you've purchased. This is the sizes that you can have it make it to. So you don't have to format them. You don't have to put it in a Word. You don't have to make those labels. They will do that for you. But if you're using another company that's going to like just print it on there, a lot of times they'll tell you like, hey, just send me the CSV file, just send me the Excel file, and then they'll do the postcards for you. You have the option then to select the CSV. So if you're doing your stamps, your labels yourself, you've got this option. If you're sending it or uploading it to a system, then you've got this option as well. The address type, you can decide, do you want it to go to the physical property or do you want it to go to where they say they should have like their billing with the property appraiser's address? So a lot of times when you go out into LIPA, it'll say, yep, the property's like 123 Main Street, but they actually live at 567 Boston. So do you want it to go to the Boston address? That would be this. Or do you want it to go to the physical property address? That would be that. Address 2, owner name, which would be what's on record. And then you could say owner name and have it say and/or current resident. You could just have it say current resident, or you could customize it out. I see a lot of people have less mailback if you just put current resident, right? Because if you do owner name and it's not proper at the moment or hasn't been updated inside of LIPA, it will mail back because LIPA and USPS do not always match, right? So we're mailing it, we've got to go with what USPS has. However, the data in here is all based off of property appraiser. So this makes it seem a little bit more personal, and then it'll still go to whoever's there if it's changed. But a lot of times I see the least mailback, just what I've seen in my experience, least mailback here with current resident. And then I see a lot of people use this as well, and they'll say things like, my future, this is corny, but things like that, because then it's not addressed to a specific person either, and it does end up in a lot of mailboxes. You can get clever with this. Just don't get too clever that USPS doesn't like you and sends all of your postcards back. So these are different ways to address those labels. All right, so then you can also filter it based on inside of that list. Like I only want it to go to people that are owner occupied or absentee owner. Even though you had that filter on the map, let's say you didn't apply it, but you want to apply it to what labels come out, then you can do that here. You can exclude listed properties, which is really, really cool, easy button, right? We talked about this last week, adding those filters in for properties that are currently listed on the MLS. RPR does it for you right here in the label maker. So if we click this, anything that's currently active, pending, or temporarily withdrawn will be pulled off of that list. Exclude properties on the do not mail list, and then exclude properties with an incomplete address. So anything where like the data is improper, and maybe it's because they have it like protected or something like that, but it'll automatically try to help you out here with people who you're not supposed to reach out to, or things that are probably going to bounce back, right? So less money on posted. All right, records to export all, or you could say, I just want records like 1 through 50. Next week, I'm, going to do 51 through 100. If you wanted to do that, that option is there as well. So lots of different ways to pull this out. It does give you an example of exactly what that stamp is going to look like once you're done. And then when you're done, you click print and it'll give you the downloadable PDF. If you click the CSV, you click export and it'll give you that downloadable Excel sheet. So easy peasy lemon squeezy. Your other options that you have here are to print, and these are it's just exactly what you see. So if you wanted to start going through this, maybe you're doing some researching, maybe you're trying to like keep a list for whatever reason. I enjoy the fact that you can choose what type of report you're going to print out, because most of the time we just get that Excel spreadsheet that we looked at inside of Remine, and then we also looked at last week inside of Realist. But that's there too, so that if you wanted to look through this, you certainly could. What is also great, that next step is the type of reports that come out of RPR. This is what they're most known for. We've talked a lot about this if you've attended our CMA courses before. The CMAs they make, which at the end of the day is a report on the property, right? You can have the reports be as long as like 89 pages, and you can have them be as simple as 5 pages. There is so much data inside of this system that if you've got that detail-oriented person, they love this. They eat this up. And then if you have the person who's like, nope, just give me like the quick and easy, you go ahead, you take out all the details, and you can, give that person the simplistic view as well. But what's nice is if you're working a specific, you're prospecting a specific niche neighborhood or type of clientele, whatever the farm is that you're building, based off of who you're going after, you can pull the market trends template just off of this data, the market activity template, or the neighborhood template. And why this is so great is because you're not just sending them a postcard and then getting all of those listings 10 days later, right? We know that it takes time. We know that it takes effort, and we know that we have to provide people different things. So I'm sure, around the holidays, they tell you like, oh, send them your favorite pie recipe or, whatever. You're trying to find ways to get in front of them. You're trying to find ways to get their attention. These reports are one of them. So what's great is you could pull these reports off of this niche. So this one specifically is downtown, right? So you could take that and you could post it out to social media. You could send it out to people. If I was sitting a farmer's market downtown, I'm going to pull that neighborhood template report and I'm going to, either have it on display or send it out to them. But I also would take these reports and regularly post them, especially if I was like involved in those neighborhoods on social media. I don't have to pay any advertising dollars for that. If you wanted to, you could run an advertisement. You could do, boost a post or whatever and post out these neighborhood templates once a month, that you could say, hey, on the second of every single month, this is what I provide. And then you could also post these reports where people could go back and find the reports month over month on your site, right? How many people come out to our association page because they're looking for the market stats every month? It's a lot. We have like, the news press will email us and be like, hey, you guys are a day late. Where's the market stats? People watch that stuff and you don't realize. So aside from just market stats, which is a class we did a couple weeks ago, pulling it on either this specific neighborhood or let's say, you're doing foreclosures. Everybody's talking about foreclosures right now. If you were to pull that kind of market activity template and you were posting trends like at the beginning of every month, and then you posted a whole packet and they knew every single month that they could go to your site to find it. And then you took that link from your site and you shared it out on socials and you also added it to your postcards. Hey, find this information regularly, right? Like you're just looking for more material to put in front of people, and RPR takes your farm that you've already pulled, and they're like, hey, here you go. Here's a whole packet. Make yourself look like the pro in this area. We've gone ahead and done it all for you. These are the quick ones that you can pull. And then if you say view all templates, these are all of the other reports that they have as well. I'm telling you guys, and I know I'm getting on my little soapbox here, but those reports that RPR gives you, absolutely amazing. So 901, go back to my little search here, which I did not save it. Got too excited about the reports. And I like to draw crazy shapes just to show you guys that it doesn't have to be absolutely perfect. All right, back to our little corner here. So the last thing I want to show you guys here inside of RPR is once you've got exactly what you want, and let's say, hey, we've gone ahead, we've exported the report, we're posting it all over socials. I've made my mailing labels. I've done everything that I need to do, but next month I want to come after these same exact people. I want to come after my same spot, and I don't want to have to recreate the wheel. You do have the save button up here. So if we save this, we can go ahead and title it. We click save. And it tells you they make everything so easy here at RPR. Access your saved work here. So under my work, this is where you have any of your listings, any properties that you've saved that you're following up with, any recent searches that you've done, but then your saved searches, boop, right here. And you can see, there we go, my class example. This is what we just pulled. So then you can just come in here, click it. It'll re-pull it. You can edit it. You can, alter it if you need to. Maybe you want to expand your boundaries, but it'll always be here for you so that you don't have to recreate the wheel and that you can continue to month over month come after this selection of search filters. Now it is a saved search. So, if something does, like, let's say something gets listed by somebody else, it will pull it off of this, right? Because I said, hey, I don't want anything that's active. But as the parameters change, so will these properties, right? So if I said before the original filter I put in here was anybody who had bought in the last 5 to 10 years, maybe, a year from now, I'm still using this list and somebody previously had owned a home for 4 years. Well, now they've owned it for 5 years. They're going to get added onto this list. If somebody recently sells, they move back off the list, right? So it'll continue to update for you so that you'll get new people that fall within those parameters. And as they fall off, then they'll come off of your list as well. So the other thing that I want to kind of show you guys works very, very similar is the commercial side. So if we flip this to commercial, you're going to see a different set of filters here. We'll come back to the map search and you can see it still stays inside of commercial. And I was messing with my saves earlier, so I'm sorry it keeps taking you guys over to New Orleans. All right, so we're going to do public record here as well, not properties that are just listed, but let's look at the filters here because this is what's important inside of commercial. You can see we've got price and now the size and things are different. Instead of bedroom, bathroom, we've got the building square foot, the lot square foot, how many units there are. They do have the foreclosure statuses still. So if you specialize in businesses that are in a distressed status, you've got that. The lot and land, we see a lot of the different commercial properties based off of the land use. They still have organization, right? You can filter down to MLSs if you're looking nationwide. But then you also have a lot of these other keyword searches where you can go after specific types of property. A lot of people lately calling in about warehouses, assisted living, body shops, where the gas stations before, things like that. So you can utilize these filters for the specific types of property. And again, this is just going to bring you through the commercial. And I like to use downtown as an example because I think it's really cool. You guys can see how these how the squares have shifted. All the residential, right, is down here around McGregor. And all the commercial is really as you come into this part of Fort Myers, so you can see how the squares have shifted because they're only filtering out things that are now classified as commercial buildings or commercial properties. So all of the things that we went through before apply just the same. It's just pulling out of a different set of data pools. So if commercial is what you're going after, RPR is really, really cool for farming that as well. And if we click this and toggle back to residential, let it load really quick, then we can simply go right back to the residential section. So if you guys have any questions for RPR, let me know in the chat box. We can come back to it and go through this. I am going to show you the next tool, but if I need to come back to it, we certainly can. All right. So next up, what I want to show you guys is real reports. And this is going to be a little bit briefer of an example, but I bring this up because real reports is a really, really cool data tool. But what's really great is they just launched their whole new system today. It's been a really big deal. They've been talking about it and teasing it for an entire month. And for those of you who love real reports, it just got way better. And if you haven't used real reports before, you are definitely missing out. So when you come into real reports, where it will bring you first here is the dashboard. Now, the way that real reports used to work is you would plug in an address, right? Pull up that address, and it's called Aiden. It's their AI bot. Aiden would be built into each property report. You could say, hey, Aiden, when was the roof replaced on this property? And it would just tell you. You could say, hey, Aiden, what's the HOA fees on this property? And it would just tell you. An AI bot that was truly built into every single property, so that you could go in and explore. What they've done now is instead of Aiden being built into the property report, they've pulled him out and they've put him here on the side for you so that you can continuously talk to him no matter where you go in the system. It's a continuous conversation instead of just property by property. And you can see here, I queued up a conversation so that you guys didn't have to see me type sitting here the whole time, right? This is like a cooking show. I pre-baked this cake for you. So you can see what's great is real reports, which this was the original tool it was built on, reports that were for each property, has now also launched over the past year, Prospector, Real CMA, and Pulse. Prospector is what you would use for a farm and for prospecting, obviously, right? It says it in the name. Real CMA helps you build CMAs, and Pulse is a great tool to help you keep up with your homeowners that might not be looking at selling yet, or it can also be something for like when somebody closes, you plug them into Pulse, and it allows homeowners to keep up with their property and gives them a tool to keep track of their property and keep track of their progress, right? But now all of these tools are lined up instead of being siloed. They're all kind of together. They all individually do their thing. But when we talk to Aiden, we can have him use all of the data he has in Real Reports for Prospector. Now, you get Real Reports as part of your membership here with Florida Gulf Coast MLS. And you can pull a lot of data, a lot of information if you're sitting there and digging. I will tell you there is an upgrade for Prospector, Real CMA, and Pulse, but you do get a discount through us, right? So free and then discounted upgrades. What's great about this, and I want to bring it up to you guys briefly, is you can see here my chat on the side. And we'll click into Prospector really quick because this is kind of what it applies to. Before, what you would use Prospector for is you would plug in your parameters like we have been doing with the other tools over the past 2 weeks. Plug in your parameters. It's going to show you your little spots here. And then it's going to give you all of the data down here. And you've got the same thing, right? Do you want like the Excel spreadsheet? Do you want a PDF of it? Do you want labels, or do you want them to just make you postcards, right? Very similar to all the other tools that we've done. What's great now with Aiden, now that he's plugged in across the entire platform and not just with the property, is I can have him do the work for me. I don't need to figure out like, hey, I need to specifically find condos in this area and I need them to be likely to sell. Nope. I don't have to think it through anymore. So you can see here, I said, hey, Aiden, can you help me farm 33901 for condo owners that may want to list, right? Who wants to list? I don't know. They've been there for 5 years. They have high equity. I don't have to think those through anymore. And Aiden said, yes. What state should I use for the zip code 33901? Once confirmed, I will build a focused condo owner list and prioritize high sell score for prospects for you. And Joanna does not know how to talk to AI, right? I just said, yep, thanks. But it's okay. I did it on purpose. It says, you're welcome, but I still need this state that you want us to search 33901 for. I said, oh, silly me. Here you go, Florida. And, so it thought through it for a bit and said that they've identified Lee County, Florida for the zip code 33901. But I don't pay for the upgrade here. But this is where Aiden would spit out the list for me, right? It'll pull it into Prospector, it'll do it for you, and it'll spit out the list for you. And then you can continue to talk to it, right? It's natural thought, natural conversation where you could say, okay, this is great. Also, can you only give me things that have more than 2 bedrooms? And I only want to send out 50 postcards. So only give me like the top 50, right? Thank you for maybe it spits out like 400. I only want 50. So no longer do you have to figure out what filters you want to put in and try to put all the thought. You just have a conversation with somebody. It's like talking to an assistant. You say, hey, I want to send out postcards and I want them to be very likely to sell. Make it easy for me. I don't want to have to think it through. Aiden's going to do that for you. Aiden's going to do that for you. So totally, I'm totally nerding out, very excited. All right, let's see. We've got a couple of comments and conversations. I have an address that I could not locate on MLS, but I could on RPR. Am I doing something wrong? Um, so if you have addresses that you couldn't locate in the MLS, if it's something that's listed, Connie, you'll have to let me know. You'll have to let me know if it's an active listing. I mean, if you type in an address and it doesn't show up on the MLS, it might not have been listed with us before. If it is currently active and you find it in RPR, maybe it's listed in another MLS, like maybe somebody put it in Stellar or Miami or something. But that could be why you're seeing something in RPR and not seeing it in our MLS. All right, it's an old one. Yeah, it just might not be our MLS if it's not live right now. Um, all right, the other question is, would you suggest doing comps in RPR versus MLS? Oh, Connie, this is like one of my favorite questions. So, and I get all excited. Let me sit cross-legged here. So, we do a lot of CMA courses. I would go back, if you want to watch them, go back and watch them. But when we look at all of these tools, like I talked about earlier, you got RPR, Real Reports, Remine, Realist. Um, my answer for you, unfortunately, is both. So I search across all of the platforms. And then I really do like a lot of my data and research inside of our MLS. And then I utilize the properties that I find in the MLS. Like I pick out exactly like, okay, I want 123 Main Street's a comparable and 567 First Street. I get my list of, let's say it's like 10 properties inside of the MLS. And then I bring it back into RPR and I plug in, like I go through. And I'll show you this really quick. Let's see. Oops. Pull up a random. I've used this one before as an example. When you go into the property and so you pull up the one you're doing a CMA for, they have a CMA tab. And then you'll go through, you can see this was a class example before. You'll go through each of these steps. But when I am in the comparable section, the properties that I found in MLS, I pull them into RPR and then I use those exact ones because I like how pretty the reports are in RPR. You can make an 80-page report, you can make a 5-page report. There's so much data and it looks really pretty. So I do prefer doing it in here, but I do a lot of my research in MLS, and then I do my research sometimes also in Remind and RPR. Like I kind of nerd out a little bit. I dig across all the platforms because they offer so many different things and so many different data points that I really like to look at all of it. And then I'll pull the report in here. Hopefully that answers. It's prettier. Yeah, it's prettier for sure. I will tell you if I need to grab something like super quick or like, hey, meet me for coffee in 5 minutes and you better have the best elevator pitch in the world. I will use Remine because they have a quick CMA button in here. Let me pull this really quick. They have a quick CMA button in here as well. And it pulls like a quick like 2 to 5 page report. So like I said, if you're on the run and you're like grabbing something and you don't have time to like comb through an 80-page report, um, their CMA button is right here. Simple parameters, 4 steps, and again, quick 5 pages, and you're out the door. So Real Reports, can I run a demo? I typically can. We will pull a demo on this is the property, right? So Real Reports, like I said, it was originally built on the fact that it was here to give you all the data you needed, right? If you were getting ready to list a property, everything you possibly needed on that property. If you were helping buyers buy and they were in their research phase, okay, let's dig in here. It pulls in the MLS, it pulls in the property appraiser's office, like the tax roll information. They also pull in from a lot of other programs, like they've got like school information. They've got in here, let me scroll down a little bit. They've got a lot of this AI estimates built in here too. The valuations are great. The neighborhood reports. So if you have somebody who says, oh, how's the neighborhood, right? And we're all so worried about that conversation because of fair housing. Well, this is information and it tells you where the information that comes from. So you'd be the source of the source, not the actual source. I'm sure you guys have heard that before. The school information, if they ask for it, right? This I think is cool. The utilities and energy, it tells you how much it'll be per month. A lot of people ask that, and we're like, we have no idea where to find it. I don't know, call Lipa and wait online for 30 minutes for them to give you an answer. But they have all of that in here. They also have like phone connectivity, how much that's going to cost. Like they pull in so much information in here, absolutely insane. And maybe this is not something that you really need for prospecting. This is more like when you're researching for a buyer or for a seller. But once you start prospecting, you're really trying to get to know all of the properties that are within that niche that you're working. This is what it's great for. And as you look through this, what's great is again that AI piece. Aiden is built in here, so you can be like, hey, Aiden, um, let's see if this works. And I got to tell you, they just launched this morning, so it's like truly a live demo. Um, and you can see here as it works through, it's looking at the property data, it's looking in here at this stuff. Um, and there you go. So answers through those questions. But again, it's really, really good when it comes down to that property data. And now Aiden is built in across the prospector, CMA, and Pulse. So you can continue to talk to Aiden. I almost said him. It could be a him, a her. I don't know. I guess we should ask the guys at Real Reports. But you can continue to talk to them through each property or now trying to build out any of your farming, your CMAs, or your client connections. So really, really cool. They just launched today. So go out there, play around with it, beat it up, be the first one to try it out, especially for those of you who have been like, hey, we need more AI in our tools. It's here for you. So, all right, I don't think I see any other questions. I do appreciate you guys coming out here to spend your Monday with me. I know that we've gone through a lot over the past 2 days, so you can go back, watch these recordings if you want to. But as you work through stuff, if you need help or you have questions, you get stuck on anything, that is what we're here for. So you can call in here at the MLS and talk to anybody on the team, or you can email us, mls@rpcra.org. And we're here to help you out, whether it's the tools, MLS, and anything that you need in that aspect. So we look forward to hopefully seeing you guys next week. Our topic is listing fraud prevention and realtor safety, which is a hot topic. I know listing fraud continues to climb and climb and climb. So we've got some tools for you. We've got some practices for you. And we hope to see you guys here next week on our MLS Monday. Thanks so much.